What is going on, everybody? It is Ted here with Bodies and Wicks, and just wanted to welcome y'all to today's show. Not much. Well, I had a busy day myself at work, so um, but not. I guess I didn't pay as much attention to the charts today as I should have. I got a report that I gotta do. Unfortunately, but I did make a call, and I was pretty proud of that call. But first, I just want to get to some news. I guess we could talk about first just Bitcoin in general. I do want to talk about Bitcoin to see what is going on with the price of Bitcoin. Hold on, I just had the chart up and now I don't know where it went. And as soon as I can find the chart, I will happily discuss it with you, but I can find it. There it is. Okay, got the chart up. Right, so but anyways, I just forgot to introduce myself. Anyways, I am Ted here of Bodies and Wicks. What I generally talk about is smart money, and smart money is the opposite of retail trading. So what I look for is basically if I was a trader at a huge corporation or at the Federal Reserve. For instance, if I was to protect the dollar and to make more money for my big or large institution, how would I trade? And it's not going to be the same way that a regular person would trade. It's not going to be the way that everybody's taught to trade. You're taught to, I kind of think outside the box. I don't want to trade the same way everybody else does, because the truth is 90% of people that trade lose money. It's the truth. So if 90% of the people would lose money, there's what the opposite side of the coin is. Well, I mean, generally the theory is that 90% of people, another 90% of people should be are getting the money, or what am I trying to say? All the 90% of the people that lose are going into all that money is going into somewhere, right? And if it's only 10%, it's a small amount of people that are getting 90% of the money. So, and those 10% are the larger organizations, right? They're the ones making all the money. It's not the little guys. There are some retail things that can make sense, and if it works for you, then fine. But I try not to think like that. I don't think trading with a trend line or looking at channels are necessarily the answer. Price sees things in a different way, and so that's the way I try to look at it. I don't try to think of it as a tunnel vision. I try to think of a reasoning for what price could be doing, basically. So that being said, Bitcoin had it's down day to day, and so I guess we can go ahead and head on over to that chart and talk about that for a second. So here is the 4-hour chart. I guess I can probably get rid of all of the stuff I probably had on here yesterday when I was trading it, and looking for all these different little knickknacks that I was finding while I was trading, and trying to stay above the line. But now it's gotten to a point to where it's about to, I think it's about tradable again, or at least tradable to go long anyway. It just depends on how you trade. If you have an account where you can trade it as a CFD, that's my preferred method. Like I have Hugo's Way, a lot of other brokers do carry Bitcoin as a CFD, so that way if you want to throw in 10 cents, you probably at least have to have at least a $200 account to trade Bitcoin. At least you should anyway. That way you can throw in 10 cents. Your spread is about $8. But I mean, as soon as it moves up, a little bit, you can be up 20 bucks in no time, so it just depends on how you like to trade. So I'm looking at the 4-hour chart here of Bitcoin, and the way I see it is that we are in at least in bullish territory, right? As it was moving down, right, we were seeing lower lows, and then we saw it before it made the lowest low around 43, right? I don't believe in trend lines. I drew this trend line for one reason and one reason only, basically for liquidity purposes, right? To see if it was going to come down to this line again, to see if it would just strike through it. 'Cause I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought if it was going to come down one last time, I have this whole green area marked out to where that is kind of a gap, I guess you could say, in pricing here, to where that was the day of Tesla announcing that it was putting its money in Bitcoin, which was February 8th, and then so price just immediately shot up, and then outran the high, and then it bounced back from that. And so I have like kind of what I would call a gap in price between the previous high and the next 4-hour candle that turned red. So I was thinking maybe it would come back down to that area, and then people would think it'd be trading off this trend line, and then it would shoot down even further, and I was going to try to catch it down here. So, and that's what I mean by thinking outside the box. A lot of people would be looking at this trend line, trying to trade off it. I don't try to trade off trend lines. I never will. It's not the way to go, because as soon as you do, it's going to go against you, right? I mean, just look at it. Let's turn the tables, for example, and let's go this way with it, right? So let's use this as our little trend line example. Right, and do a regular line, and let's just thin it out. So actually, it's thick enough. It's fine. I mean, as you can see, it looks like people probably did try to trade off of this, and then boom, what did it do? It went the opposite way. So it's just. And then you look around, you go, oh, well, maybe it's gonna do a different kind of trend line, or maybe now it's forming a channel. No, price doesn't do that. Price doesn't know to follow trend lines or follow channels. It remembers levels, right? It knows price levels. So that being said, now that it got bullish above this area here, right? This area to where we're pretty much at right now. Pulled up above that, came back down, right? And then it made another bullish move. And so what I was looking for to see if it would get above here, and it did. It got above this high, right? So, and that was when it was basically in the free fall, almost in the free fall mode right here. You see these three huge red candles. So it kind of gets back up into that area, and so now we're seeing the reverse of that. But if we're still looking at this as a bullish move right now, or at least a little bit ago, probably would have been a bit better time to actually get in on this trade, because I don't think it's going to get lower than this low. No, it's definitely not. Don't think it's going to get lower than this low right now. So what I am going to look for is, I'll get to the 15 minutes of this now. I'll probably try to find, because what I was looking at is I was thinking it was going to hit this line I have here drawn. I figured it would probably hit this line here. As you can see, there are two lows here, right? It's something like this. We're going to see it backtrack a little bit. Then I will probably place trade. Or maybe I could just set. Maybe I'll just set a limit And the question is, it is still, I mean, it is still on the downward track. I'm still looking at this, trying to decipher if this is the right move or not. I don't want to jump into this and then regret it later and it go completely against me. Again, I don't think it will. I think we are on the right track. I'll probably try to make a decision before the end, before I end this video. But anyway, what I did want to talk about that. Did want to talk about Ethereum. I have the chart here. Of course, it backed off again as well. Somehow, I am still in this trade. No idea. I have a random Chicago area code number calling me right now. And I wish it would move a little bit faster than it is. But as you can see, lowest area I thought it would probably get to, it did get to that area, and that's why I put my stop loss right here, which was also my entry. Actually, I think I may have put it above my entry. But I think it was 1495 or something like that. Yeah, 1495. Okay, so we're still basically at my entry. I didn't want to move it up too high just in case it did come back down to this level. It did come back down to this level, so now we are on our way back up. I still think, you know, it squabble a little bit before we see another hike up. But I mean, if I get knocked, I get knocked out. I've already taken, like I said, two-thirds of my profit off of this, so should see, I don't know, no, hopefully we'll see something accumulate out of this. As you can see, I do have the area up here that I am looking at that has been almost the rejection area. Every time it almost comes up near it, it gets rejected, which was actually the first high whenever I started the trade. That was my first take profit, so it did hit that area. It went up, and this was the this is the 127 area, which I probably should have taken profit there. Instead, I aimed for the next high, so still aiming for that high. But we'll just have to see what happens when it comes to that. So news I do want to get to, if we go to my front page of my trading view, was, I thought that was the front page of my trading view, maybe it's this one. Yeah, here we go. Was the short I saw on the S&P. So you go over here and we go to the SPX. When I was making these drawings ahead of time, I mean, most of these before I started the day today, and as it was going up, I was thinking, okay, as soon as this bell rings, as soon as it, 9:30 hits or 8:30 hits, I was like, I have a feeling it's gonna reach up and then drop. Right, there was just something over here. I don't know, there's something about the price action over here in this area was telling me that it was going to reach for this, right? I thought it was going to go above this high first and then drop, but it didn't get all the way there. Oh no, sorry. So there for a second. It got pretty high though. I mean, it got to 38, 35, and that's. I sit there for a second and I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and sell here, and I don't think it's gonna get much higher. And so that's when I literally called at that moment sell 38.35. And so if we go to my trading view, you can see this is where I said to sell. I mean, it took it right at the moment where I said to sell at 38.35. All the orange lines down here were areas I was looking for either take profit areas or areas where it could bounce. And the reason being is because those were basically those are the, it stalled for a second and then it just shot up, right? So whenever it just kind of shoots up, those are the kind of areas you look at and you wonder why it just shot up. It could just turn around and shoot back up again. So that's why I was looking at those areas. Of course, if you hit play, what it did do is it did get down to that last area that I was talking about. The last two lines, got to those, it did shoot back up, and then it did what I thought it was going to originally do, was it got back above this high, this short little high that I thought it was going to, because there's two equal highs right here basically. So that is where generally people would put like a stop run, or yeah, what am I trying to say? Not a stop run. It's basically the same thing as a stop run, but hold on one second. The TV is really loud and I didn't realize it. It's probably bleeding through to the mic. Okay. So it did get above that, and then that's when it fell and hit my full take profit area, and then it got down to another area that I thought it was going to hit, and I even outlined it here. So if you stretch out this chart, the orange lines signify areas are taking profit or possible or pivoting to the bullish side. So this could be some scalping and not a long-term move. I have a feeling there's a liquidity draw further down around 37.20. So what I mean by liquidity draw, I mean that if we take a look at this and we look at that area, let me go to the hourly actually so we can get a little bit better view at it. That was the draw I was talking about, was just below. You can see it go up and then it pull down and then it go back up. So there's basically two candles that pull like that, right? Candle here pulls down, candle here pulls down. So that's that liquidity draw I was thinking of. But what does it do? It got all the way down to that. I said around 37.20. It was just pretty much right at that mark at 37.22. So I said 37.20 in my original idea. Did end up getting down to about 37.22. Now what I did is also I made a dumb move basically. I took profit at one area here, which was at the first low. So as you can see, it moves up. It has two green. You have these green candles. You have two red candles before the push up. That push up right at the beginning of the bell. It got below that. I said, okay, that's the first low. I need to take profit there. So I did 38.14. So, and then waited around a little bit more for a second take profit zone, which is going to be just below these lows. Again, because where these lows are setting, where is generally where people want to buy, right? So if people are going to want to buy at that area or set their stop losses at that area, or buy above it, and so that's what they usually do, is they think that line is like a perfectly insurmountable line that cannot be broken. It's a force of steel. That's what most your traditional retail traders think of support and resistance. They think that line is that support line, is not going to be broken, or they don't have enough money to where they're just going to try to play it safe and be like, oh yeah, look, I barely, I risk is just barely this amount, and you know, I caught this move. You know, the banks know that. You know, they know that everything is lightly resting underneath there. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna attack it. They're gonna attack it and take your money. So I thought the next partial would be just below that, and I outlined that in my idea. I put first is this tick partial, and I have my next partial right here. So if you click on this, I have next partial just below these lows. And so what does it do? Boom, hits the next partial. All right, take profit. Unfortunately, it come back up and get above my entry zone, which I already taken my stop loss and placed it there. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention because I just had so much going on throughout the day. But if you left it there and you didn't put your stop loss where I did, and you left it and you let it go, and you had to hunch like I did, congratulations, because it moved all the way down to where I thought I was almost going to go, not 32.20 but 32.22. So that was a significant move on that, I thought. And to be honest, I was kind of I'm surprising myself more and more by the day, and I'm getting more and more confident of these things. And you know, just to see here if I have it. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so yeah, I mean, just a little bit I could pay attention to and get in on my MetaTrader 4. You know, that is what I took care of on my MetaTrader 4. So you know, on TradingView it was a little bit different. You know, for people that are following my signals, this is what I'm trying to help you out with doing. Sometimes I don't take my own advice because I'm not necessarily in front of the charts, you know, looking at it all the time. But what I am trying to do is trying to give everybody else a little bit of something, you know, that they can take away from the trade, basically. So if you're following, especially if you followed that signal, hopefully you walked away with something. I did for sure. The other one that I'm in currently is the Cardano call. Unfortunately, this one got it's a little bit further deeper than I had anticipated, but it was bouncing back. So I did take another deeper look at this, and I did see where I probably should have originally called it. And there is an area over here to the left of the chart that I can see that I should have called right where this, you know, the last up move to the big down move, right? So those are always the areas I look for, right? So this red candle, right? So you have a couple green candles here, then you have this red candle here. So I put it on top of this green candle because that's pretty much where it is also. You know, that big push down is what you look for whenever a price returns to that. Generally you'll see a shift into the opposite direction. So that's why I probably should have had that as my opening instead of here. I believe I had my opening as there because I was thinking it was probably going to be this one up here at the very beginning of this move, instead of the actual big move itself. So if you did follow this one, you know, I think Cardano is now going in the direction that it should be going. So if you do want to long play it, go ahead. You know, it's been taken off the last couple hours. Not one of those ones that moves really fast, but you know, I would think by maybe in a couple days we could hit our take profit. I'm thinking that if it does continue to get lower, I actually do have another buy limit set with the stop loss just below that. So there's an area right in here I think could be another area. Again, it's the big down push area right here. And once it comes back to that area, and generally the reason I say that is because whenever the institutions sell off, right? Whenever they sell off, they'll sell it, but then they do it for a reason. They sell it so they can buy it at a better discount. But after they buy it, they can still hold that sell, right? So while they're waiting for that sell to drop back to that original area, and then they'll release that sell and then continue on trading. So you got to find those areas to where they would do something like that, right? So that's the logic that I try to play behind. If they're gonna sell it so much that it's gonna push it down, to a certain degree, and they're also holding, they're also trading it at the same time, so you can trade and also have it as a part of your portfolio. So you sell off a ton on your portfolio as you also sell in your trade, right? So you sell in your trade, you sell in your portfolio, but then you also buy on the trade. So then you have a straddle going on basically. And so you get enough, make enough in your trade to where you want to release it, most people know exactly how where the top is going to be, especially if you're some kind of a large institution. These things are manipulated that bad to where they know to release it, and then they still hold their sell trade, right? And they hold their sell trade until it gets back to the original place, to where they sold it from, to where they can then just release the trade, and they break even on the sell, but they make money on the buy. So that is my typical thinking. That's the way smart money was explained to me, and that's the way I've always tried to look at it. And price does two things, and that's also balancing out price as well. That's what price does. Price does two things. It looks for liquidity, and it looks to balance. So when I mean by looking for liquidity, it's looking to create new highs or create new lows. It's not wanting to make equal highs and equal lows. If that were the case, everybody would be trading every day, because we would just go trade from the same high to the same low every day. Institutions don't do that. Institutions push it down to lower lows, so that way you lose because you think it's going to stay at the old low. Things like that. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about smart money, right? You have to think like in an institution. Next trade I'm involved in is Ravencoin. I don't know why I didn't move this. This was from the last one, but my entry position is actually right here. Goes it down here by paper trading. Let me pull that up for a second. And of course it doesn't want to go. Hold on. I think it may be over here. Here we go. I was up quite a bit. It looks like it fell down a little bit, but you can see behind my head here it says Ravencoin. Come on, I'll pull it up here. There we go. So you can see I'm in Ravencoin and Cardano right now. And looks like the fill price was 14,648.8. So if we want to do inputs on this, 14,6. Computer's being really slow right now. 488. Take profit is 19,700, and stop loss is 14,09. 0.22. All right, so I have a very short stop loss. I did have a bigger stop loss before I saw it actually. I had a bigger stop loss whenever I entered the trade. I didn't put this one out as a signal because I wasn't for sure about this one. I didn't want to mislead people. I don't like putting signals out there until I'm like 100% about them. This is more like for practice for me. But since this trade did just start, and it looks like it's falling right back into the entry right now. Yeah, see, that's the reason why I was thinking. Look, it fell right to that area. I thought it would too. I drew out this line and I said it might just get to this line and fall back down. That's what I was afraid was going to happen. And the reason it fell, I mean, that line, if you look over here, see the green, right? It's 2 green candles that push up really hard. Right, basically that's what that is. So those are the areas to where it pushed up really hard. It comes up from behind it, hits that green area, which is also just above the previous candle. So those are the kind of things I just kind of look for and see if it's going to happen. And it looks like it did. And so now I was in profit, and now I am not in profit. So my 2 crypto trades I am not doing so well in. Not that I'm not doing so well, just not in profit right now, that's all. But I don't know why I'm not in the Ethereum trade still, because I didn't get out of that one. Unless I put my stop loss too high. I may have done that. I may have put my stop loss too high. Or, I don't know, sometimes this thing just cancels trades on you too. Makes no sense. But either way, I still should be in this trade because I entered at 14.95, or maybe it was 14.92. I can't remember where it was. I called it on my page here. 14.96. So, and it hasn't gotten below that. We pull up this trade and we hit play. Boom, enters 14.96. Still hasn't gotten below that. So I don't know why. And if I usually move my stop loss, I usually just move it to my entry. So it didn't get below my entry just yet. So I am not for sure why I'm not in this trade. Unless I moved it up higher than I should have, but I don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go back to Bitcoin and let's see what we think of that. Well, first, we do want to get back to Ethereum as well. Man, I just don't know yet. I think Ethereum might be in a good spot to make a trade. If I do, you guys will see it come across my trading view. How about that? That one. And where is Bitcoin? Where did Bitcoin go? Bitcoin also falling. See? Glad I didn't call those though. I'm guessing my ADA and my Ravencoin, that's probably why they're both falling as well. See, everything falls in unison. As you can see, you know, it wouldn't make sense for this is why I believe in institutional trading, and not that there's buying and selling power from you know, small individual things like that. It's the institutions that control this, right? And this is proof enough. We're seeing Bitcoin fall really hard. If we just went to Ravencoin, we just saw it fall really hard. If we go to ADA, you can kind of see it doing the same thing. These are all in the crypto space, right? They're all kind of following almost the same pattern. Except for Bitcoin is falling a lot harder than the rest of them. Which is interesting. And I think if we were to make a Bitcoin entry, I think it would probably be at this line right here, this 46,745. Not mistaken, I may have an entry on it already. If not, I'm going to. Alright, let's go with limit by 46.7. I'll go with 50. Free stop loss. 3,000. And take profit. I'm throwing 52,000 now. I'm gonna go ahead and put a limit on it to see if it hits the limit. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Yeah, the reason I think, why do I think that area right there? Well, for one, it's going below, right? This area right here. Right, area liquidity. And then here you go, down over here. What do you have? Boom, the start of the big down move, right? So, not only start of the big down move, you also have an area that shoots up really quickly. I don't know if you can see it or not. This candle right here that spikes up really quick, that's basically, I mean, even though it is kind of moving down, this spike up, and then of course after the spike up, what's it have to do? It has to push down, right? So even though this is a green candle, this is basically the push down into the next couple candles. So to me, I think this is that down move. You know, you kind of have a slower down paced area, then boom, the big down move. It could get down to this one, but I don't, even though there's liquidity under here, I probably wouldn't expect it to get below this. I would just expect it to get below this area right here, right? So looks like it's almost already there. Right, and so now everybody's seeing this right now, right? And they're thinking, buy, this is support. I'm telling you, this is how they get people. It's gonna go right through it. If it doesn't go right through it, ooh, okay, it's gonna bounce back. It's gonna make people think that they're gonna be able to have the good buy, right? Everybody's buying right now. Everybody's buying right now because it's support level, right? And I think if you just give it a couple minutes, it's gonna go right through it. I may have to speed up this portion of the video or cut a chunk out or something. I can just say, I guarantee you, I'm not buying that right there. That's for sure. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Because I have a feeling that's a trick. It's exactly what they would want you to think. Because it didn't get lower than this low. And something just tells me that's a trick. So here it's even. Yeah, didn't get below that low. There's liquidity resting below here, right? People have sell stops right here, right? There's a lot of people that have sell stops right here, and so usually what you'll see is big people, right, use that to their advantage. They'll go down here, trigger the sell stops. That way the sell stop people think it's going to keep falling, and then they'll push it up, right? They'll push it up, and then people will chase the price, and then they'll push it down again, right? And then it'll probably usually fall to an area like I have. So like you can see it's falling again. It's falling right now. This time I have a feeling it's going to get below here. Probably get above it and then fall again. There it goes. Boom. What I tell you. Boom. Pull right back up. So anybody had a sell stop resting below this probably had a short stop loss, right? Thinking that it was going to, because usually everybody thinks that as soon as it gets below this, it's going to keep falling. So they put a short stop loss on it. What does it do? Goes through it, pulls back, takes out the people with those short stop losses, and then continues to fall. So that's why I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold. And if you've ever seen any of my videos, this is the kind of thing I talk about. You've probably heard me say this multiple times, draw it out multiple times, so you know this is the way that I think. If you've never watched any of my videos before, this is how I think, and we'll see if this comes to fruition or not. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys tonight. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. It's been a long video already, but thanks for watching, and remember just to always wear your pants.